So we had created one organization and one project using basic template. बेसिक टेम्पलेट को यूज करके एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाया हमने और तो एक प्रोजेक्ट बना के कुछ ऑप्शंस हमने देखे अजूर बोर्ड्स के अंदर। ठीक है, तो और एक प्रोजेक्ट बनाते हैं यहाँ पर। नाउ यू विल आल्सो गेट एक्सेस टू योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। ये आपका अजूर का डैशबोर्ड है। यहाँ पर जाओगे तो इट्स ऑल सर्विसेज। यहाँ पर डेवऑप्स पर क्लिक करोगे तो यहाँ पर भी आपको ऑप्शन मिलेगा अजूर डेवऑप्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस। यहाँ से भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन करोगे तो आपको ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का एक्सेस मिल जाएगा। एंड हियर वी हैव द प्रोजेक्ट। तो एक प्रोजेक्ट हमने कल कुछ ऐसे ही बनाया था, वो दूसरे इसमें था ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, वो मैंने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन डिलीट कर ली। तो यहाँ पर एक नया प्रोजेक्ट बना रहे हैं। सपोज सेम प्रोजेक्ट बनाता है। वेबसाइट रीडिजाइन। कुछ हमने डिस्क्रिप्शन डाल दिया। Now it's advanced, 9 advanced. So the version control is Git and work item processes. Basic हमने लिया था कल। Now I'll get the Scrum. So कुछ ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं है, बेसिक और Scrum में सिमिलर ही है। So I'll say create here. Now if you look at the boards में जाएंगे तो सेम आपको मिलेगा work items, boards, backlog, sprint, queries, delivery plans, analytics views। तो वर्क आइटम में जाओगे तो यहाँ पर आपको कुछ एडिशनल ऑप्शन मिलेंगे जो आपको बेसिक प्रोजेक्ट में नहीं मिलता। एडिशनल चीजें मिलेंगी यहाँ पर। तो जैसे यू कैन क्रिएट न्यू बग आइटम, इपिक फीचर, impediment and product backlog item, task and test case। ठीक है, so you can create as per your requirement, whatever the requirement that you want to create। So if you create a epic, similar way, तो इसका हमने बोल दिया redesign of existing website। We can put some description here। Now here you can specify the start date, end date. You want to start from 28 and end is 31. Acceptance criteria. So fully functional, responsive website। तो कुछ एडिशनल चीजें आपको मिली तो यहाँ पर आप एक्सेप्टेंस क्राइटेरिया अलग से इनपुट कर सकते हैं। तो यू कैन ऐड द डिस्कशन। यहाँ पर आप डिस्कशन ऐड कर सकते हैं। डिस्कशन तो बेसिक में भी है, एक्सेप्टेंस क्राइटेरिया बेसिक में नहीं है। यहाँ पर आपको मेंशन करना पड़ेगा डिस्क्रिप्शन में। Now you can link this with something, so and you can assign this। इसको आप assign भी कर सकते हैं। So if I assign this to myself, so it's a save and we'll go to back, so you'll get the epic here. Now similar to epic, so we can also create the feature। Now before feature, so I'll go to the project settings. Now in the project settings, so we'll go to the themes। So by default, it will create a website redesign theme। I'll click on this particular theme. So now it's showing you add some member. We'll search for the members. ओके, नाउ यहाँ पर अभी थोड़ा सा सिनेरियो चेंज हो गया है। तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन क्रिएट करते वक्त कुछ चीजें चेंज हो गई, तो यहाँ पर वी नीड टू ऐड द ईमेल आईडी। नाउ लेट्स सपोज राइट टेक टू नहीं, अभी यहाँ पर आ रहा, तो सेव दिस। तो दो यूजर जो है यहाँ पर ऐड हो गए टीम के अंदर। Now I'll go back to project here. So if you go to the project dashboard, तो work items 1 दिखा रहा है, तो period 7 members, यहाँ पर आप members देखोगे तो members दिखेगा। Then go to the boards again and we'll go to the work item. Now I'll create a feature here. So it's a home page, design, create responsive home page with header, footer, hero section, and content. Acceptance criteria, fully functional responsive homepage. ना यहाँ पर भी आप स्टार्ट डेट दे सकते हैं, 28 तारीख को स्टार्ट करना है, 28 को ही खत्म करना है, या 29 को खत्म करना है। We can assign this set new. ना यहाँ पर कुछ एडिशनल चीज है, न्यू फीचर। इफ यू गो टू सम अदर ऑप्शन ये चेंज हो जाएगा। Now suppose we assign this to araticpune.com at gmail.com. Okay. Now say save this. And we'll link this to existing item. So link type, किस तरह का link है? Child, duplicate, duplicate of, parent, predecessor, related, successor. So it's a parent here. So I want to redesign के अंदर डालना है मुझे. Let's add link, save, back to work item. Now we can add one more feature. Design about page. ओके, तो जो दूसरा यूजर वो नहीं आया बिकॉज आई थिंक वो मेल आईडी जो है वैलिड नहीं है, या फिर उसको एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ेगा। मेल को एक और मेंबर ऐड कर लेता है, तो मैंने ऑलरेडी एक्सेप्ट कर रखा है रिक्वेस्ट। तो इस मेल आईडी को हटा देते हैं और मेरा मेल आईडी डालता है। So I'll go back to project and boards. Work item. Now ये suppose activity, इसको भी लिंक कर देंगे। सेव, सेम ही है वैसे ही है, कुछ एडिशनल आइटम्स है यहाँ पर। वी कैन क्रिएट बैकलॉग आइटम, तो बैकलॉग आइटम आप बना सकते हैं। हेडर सेक्शन, header with contact information at the top of page. So it's a responsive header section. And suppose we'll assign it to the same developer. Acceptance criteria, So fully functional होम पेज, जब तक होम पेज fully functional नहीं होगा तो okay, now I'll not connect this to so redesigning of existing website. I'll connect it to the feature homepage design. So let's say add link. Now I'll say save. We'll say back to home. I'll create one more backlog item. तो यहाँ पर इसको हम बोल देंगे hero section plus site to this developer. Animated hero section with call to action. So it's a fully functional homepage. Now link this item to homepage design. Save back to items. Backlog item. Homepage content. राइट टेक को असाइन कर लेता है. Create full homepage content with history, achievements, client snapshot. Fully functional web page, sorry, homepage. Now link this to. Now you can create the hierarchy as per your requirement. मैं आपको एक just demo दे रहा हूँ. I'll create one more backlog item. Suppose about company will assign to some developer. So about company section in about page contains history of the company. So it's a fully functional about page. Now click on this existing link and we'll say design about page. We'll say add link, save, we'll say back to work item. We'll create one more backlog item. So I'll say something called, or you can create larger backlog item. So, and combine 2-3 activities in it. So depend on your requirement. Now you will say vision and mission section. We'll assign this to create full vision and mission section in about page. So fully functional about page. So we'll connect it to about page again. We'll say save and we'll say back to item. So you can create all the work item like this. Fine. Now I'll go to the boards. Now in the boards, you'll find all these items here. The header section creation, hero section creation, homepage content, and we'll say about company, so vision and mission. Now similar way you can put it into approve, committed, done. So थोड़ा सा change हो गया यहाँ पर. So now it's new. Once get approved, so it will be put in approved section. And if committed, so when the code committed for this particular thing in a repo, So we can shift it to the committed. Once completed, the commit is accepted by your, we can say admin or team. So it will be going to be in the time. So you can move these sections as per your requirement. Fine. Now this is a backlog view. So you do a backlog view, and now here from you can change the view, so you can view it as a feature wise instead of backlog wise. So it's taking time. Now यहाँ say if you go to the settings में you can also add do many things. नए fields add कर सकता है if you want to add the field styles, tag colors, annotations लगा सकता है if you want to change the icon, task icon, GitHub, test icon. So styles में जाके उससे add style rule. So rule name suppose new. We'll have the color suppose green. Now here you can specify the board column. New item maybe accepted by में डाल देता हूँ equal to value. अगर किसी ने accept कर दिया उसको, so you can add new style rules like this. तो अभी यहाँ पर नहीं लिखेगा. So here we can have the backlog. So it will show you the backlog list here. Now style में style change होना चाहिए. अप्रूव के लिए ढूंढते कुछ है क्या? Okay, work item type and tags. Tags है यहाँ पर वर्क आइटम टाइप के हिसाब से देखते हैं. ठीक है, we'll come back. Now you can change this view to backlog items and the features view. Feature view show you the complete feature, and it has three, we can say, backlog items here, and it has two backlog items here. Fine. So you can change the view from here. Now if I go to the backlog, so it will show you the backlog list, header section, this status, value area, effort. So analytics में जाएंगे तो we'll get the analytical view here. Now here from we can configure the sprint. Sprint is the duration in which you want to complete a specific backlog here. So if you click on the sprint one, so nothing is there because we haven't assigned any backlog to any sprint here. Now first what we do is we'll copy. So here we'll go to the sprints here. So by default it has only, so we'll go to the board and in the board. So if I go to the backlog item, we'll right click here, we can say move it to a sprint. So by default it's in a current sprint, so sprint one. So for example, if I want to move the header section in sprint one and we'll say hero section in sprint one only and home page content in sprint one. Now we'll move the about company to a sprint two, suppose. And we'll move the about company to a sprint two here. Now, if I go to the sprints here, so it will show you this sprint here. One, if you go to the sprint two, so it will to show you the sprint two here, but okay. The sprint is a duration, time duration, तो वो duration यहाँ से आप set कर सकते हैं. So also set date here. The sprint one को हमने suppose set किया 21 से. Generally one sprint should be 1 or 2 weeks. छोटा sprint नहीं होना चाहिए. A sprint will generate one deliverable item, a complete deliverable item होता है. So that time period should be sufficient for that particular item. So also save and close here. And if I select the sprint two, so here I can set the date. So for sprint two, suppose I'm saying from June 1st to, so I'll say June 5 then. So we can add this in a sprint. And in a sprint, we can have shifting here. So we can say move to iteration backlog. Now we can have the okay, so you can change the view by selecting the option here. So if I select the planning option here, तो वर्क डिटेल्स ऑप्शन अगर यहाँ पर क्लिक किया तो वर्क डिटेल्स शो कर रहा. ना प्लानिंग ऑप्शन क्लिक किया तो प्लानिंग शो कर रहा. स्प्रिंट वन 3 एक्टिविटीज 2 वर्किंग डे के अंदर उसको खत्म करना. ठीक है. तो इफ आई सेलेक्ट द स्प्रिंट वन हियर, so you can keep it off or you can have the work details. Now it's not allowing me to shift this to. यहाँ से हम ऐड कर पा रहे नया टू डू. तो बैकलॉग में देखते थे कैपेसिटी, ये मैंने कल आपको बताया था. So where we can define, so who will do what and for how many hours it will work daily. And teams off day, you can put the off days here. Analytics में डेटा चाहिए और तभी एनालिटिक्स आएगा. Suppose I will see my work. Let me put it into approved and see what happens here. Header section, hero section, homepage content. We are able to create the item. Okay, so what's it doing? So it's showing you the task, and based on that task, you can create the to-dos here. And then that to-dos can be in progress and done. So also support to-do 1. I'll assign this to somebody. Now I'll add one more to-do 2. So ये जो हायरार्की मैंने क्रिएट की है वो थोड़ी नैरो होगी. इट शुड बी लिटिल ब्रॉड सो दैट यहाँ पर आना चाहिए होम पेज और यहाँ पर आना चाहिए हेडर सेक्शन एंड कैन से हीरो सेक्शन एंड कंटेंट ऑफ दैट. तो यहाँ पर हमने डाल दिया टू डू 3. So I will assign this to somewhere. Now we can shift this to so progress and done depending on that. Now here, so we can, if you look at the work details, now you will find the details of the work performed by that particular developer. Total work hours 30 hours. So work by activity, development 12 hours, design 18 hours, and assigned to 12 hours to this particular developer, 8 hours to this particular developer. तो वर्क व्यू में आपको दिखेगा. प्लानिंग में यू विल फाइंड द स्प्रिंट डिटेल्स ऑफ दैट. ठीक है, तो ये आपको स्प्रिंट में मिलेगा. क्वेरीज कल मैंने दिखाया था आपको, सो यू कैन फाइंड आउट एनीथिंग as per your requirement, so you can query him. Now say accepted, सर्च करके देखते हैं. यहाँ पर नहीं है इसमें डेटा. असाइन टू में देखते हैं. Create the assign to work here. Now you can save this query. Now कल मैंने आपको ये भी ऑप्शन दिखाया था चार्ट. We can create the chart by any way, work item type or state count, value ascending, descending. Now यहाँ पर एक थोड़ा सा इंटरेस्टिंग चीज जो है, ओके सेम ही. Now delivery plans, you can create a plan so that all will have idea. So what is going to happen when. So project redesigning team and select backlog. Suppose backlog items are features, feature wise कर सकते हैं. So here it will visually show the plan, and you can shift anything further before, depending on the, you can view what is your delivery plan. तो कब तक क्या खत्म करना है, तो कितने दिन में करना, तो यहाँ पर आपको दिखेगा। एनालिटिकल व्यू में डेटा चाहिए, और तो एज वी स्टार्ट वर्किंग इट विल गेट यू द डेटा। So you're just showing you some data here. Now if you go dashboard, कल मैंने डैशबोर्ड दिखाया था, यहाँ पर भी सेम है। डैशबोर्ड के अंदर भी जैसे ओवरव्यू में जाएंगे, यहाँ पर डैशबोर्ड में जाएंगे, so you can create your own widget. So you can create your own dashboard as per your requirement. So you can add the widgets, so create your dashboard. Now this is another example of the Scrum. So Scrum and Basic, दो example मैंने बता दिया आपको यहाँ पर। Now let's shift to repos. So थोड़ा सा repos में जाता है। ये तो आप कर लोगे, थोड़ा सा आपको PNC करना पड़ेगा, आगे पीछे देखना पड़ेगा। Now repos में जाएंगे, तो before going to repos, so we'll have look at to few concept from the repos. So repos के कुछ concepts को हम देखेंगे यहाँ पर। So Azure repos and Git. So your Azure repo is connected with Git. So just before I told you, so while creating the project, I told you, so we are going to use a version control system Git. So Git is a version control system. So what we can do using repos, so we can clone, commit, push, pull, branch, merge, so everything here. Now what is Azure repo? The platform overview and the setup. So उसको हम देखेंगे, so git clone, files and staging, git commit, push, pull, branches and merges of them. So this forms your backbone of your, we can say, CI/CD. So what is Azure repo? So Azure repos basically क्या है? So cloud hosted Git repository, tightly integrated with Azure DevOps. तो आपने बोला है कि आपको ऑलरेडी Git पता है, मैंने पूछा था फर्स्ट सेशन में, तो हम Git को कवर नहीं कर रहे, तो आप इसको समझो Azure repos को कि इट्स एन, तो Git की कमांड्स हम देखेंगे, बट Git का थ्योरी हम नहीं देखने वाले हैं। तो Git repository सिमिलर ही है, तो Azure repo and Git. The only difference is Azure repos is the cloud version of your Git repository. तो cloud hosted Git repository. तो cloud hosted और एक ऑप्शन क्या है? GitHub. तो आप GitHub भी यूज कर सकते हैं. So GitHub is outside the Azure. So we are Azure. So हम Azure सीख रहे हैं, तो Azure में क्या कर रहे हैं, तो इसको समझ रहे हैं. तो Azure repos is the cloud hosted Git repository tightly integrated with Azure DevOps. So Git is a version control system which will help you to track the changes happening inside your code base of them. So it does many things. So Azure repo is the cloud hosted version of your Git repository. So tightly integrated with Azure DevOps. Now full Git, so standard Git workflows, unlimited private repo. So Azure repos provides you full Git. Everything that you can do with the Git is connected with your Azure repo. Now pull requests, so code review, discussion threads, auto-complete that you can do. So additional feature यहाँ पर available है. So before accepting the code, so we can have the pull request. So pull request is the request generated by the person who complete the work, and it will send that pull request to his manager or admin, who will do the code review, and if anything is not as per the requirement or acceptance level, so we can open the discussion thread, or we can also your manager admin can enable the CI/CD auto-complete to that. Now branch policies, build validation, so reviews, work item and linking, code search. So these are the features of your Azure repo. So full Git available है, Git की सारी चीजें available हैं, pull request available है, branch policies define कर सकता है, or whenever you create a branch or merge the branch, so it will validate that policies. It will review those policies and work item linkages to that. So that is also possible. So you can link the work item, जो work item अभी हमने बनाया, तो उनको आप branch के साथ link कर सकते हैं. So whenever you make a pull request, so your admin or manager will have access to your work item so that they can go through that work item and they can validate or review your code. So boards is about the planning and the management. Repo is about the code. So it's about your code management. And CI/CD is the automation. So CI and CD will do the automation of that. So will configure your pipelines. So branch policies will define it, create the branch policies. Code search. So semantic search is available, differential search is available, blame search is history search. So many search options are available in Azure repos. Permissions, so you can define the permissions, granular access per repo, branch folder. तो granularity है permissions के अंदर आप चाहे तो हर एक रेपो के हिसाब से, ब्रांच के हिसाब से, फोल्डर के हिसाब से परमिशन डिफाइन कर सकते हैं. So indirectly available as Azure DevOps services in the cloud or Azure DevOps service on premise, ये तो हमने देखा है. Now अगर आप इसको TF टीम फाउंडेशन के साथ कंपेयर करोगे, वैसे TF अभी अवेलेबल है नहीं, यहाँ पर ऑप्शन ही नहीं है फिलहाल. सो गिट ही रिकमेंडेड है. सो फीचर वाइज कंपेयर करोगे तो टाइप, सो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड सेंट्रलाइज, TF सेंट्रलाइज version control system and Git is distributed version control system. Now offline work possible है Git में? Yes, possible. So full repo locally, आपका पूरा repo locally available है. You can make the changes, make the commits in local repo. Now TF में you need a server, so you need a server requirement is there. Branching, so Git में जो है light weight and fast branching है. So TF के अंदर हेवी एंड पाथ बेस्ड ब्रांचिंग है. तो थोड़ा टाइम लगता है ब्रांच क्रिएट होने में, ब्रांच मर्ज होने में, ब्रांच को रिव्यू करने में, पुल रिक्वेस्ट जनरेट करने में. यहाँ पर काफी लाइट वेट है, फास्ट है. परफॉर्मेंस फास्ट फॉर मोस्ट ऑपरेशंस. नाउ स्लो फॉर लार्ज हिस्ट्री. अगर जैसे हिस्ट्री बढ़ती जाएगी आपका TF क्या हो जाएगा, little bit slow. So industry standard is universal adoption. So Git is available everywhere, whether you are a .NET developer, Java developer, React developer, Angular developer, or any developer, or if you are not even developer, if you want to manage the files, then also you can do with the Git. So TF is for maintenance, Microsoft only. Now features active development maintenance mode. तो फिलहाल लीगेसी है तो मेंटेनेंस मोड में अवेलेबल है. TF अभी करंटली आप TF को न्यू प्रोजेक्ट के लिए नहीं यूज कर सकता है, बट पुरानी जो प्रोजेक्ट ऑलरेडी TF में है उसको आप मेंटेनेंस मोड में यूज कर सकते हैं. तो Git is currently active for the development. So if you are still on TF, migrating to Git is your top priority, no exceptions. Now, what are the Git core concepts? So Git के core concepts क्या हैं? So mental model for every developer needs. So working directory, so Git में सबसे पहला जो directory होगा आपका working directory होगा. Your actual files on the disk, so you can edit it freely here. Now staging area, so staging areas, so you can do it using git add command. So changes you have selected for the next commit. So working directory के अंदर 10 files आपने बनाए, उसमें से 5 फाइल आपको कमिट में डालने हैं, so we can put it into staging area. So changes you have selected for the next commit. Now once you commit it, so it forms your repository. So permanent history, all committed snapshots will be there. So that goes to your repository. So आपके repository में जाएंगे, and repository contain the permanent history of all the committed snapshots. तो इसके लिए बेसिकली कमांड्स क्या हैं? सो git add command, so it will help you to add your working directory file to staging area, and staging area file को आप ऐड कर सकते हैं रिपॉजिटरी के अंदर यूजिंग git commit. तो पहला कमांड आपको लगेगा git add and the path of your can say file. तो फाइल का पाथ देंगे. if you want to add a specific file to a staging area, and if you want to add all the files from the current folder, so it's a git add and dot. Now, once you add it to the staging, so we can commit it to your repository using git commit, git space commit dash m. Dash m will help you to add some comment to that, and say add some comments. So add user authentication feature. What are the comment that you want to add? Now git clone. So ये तो क्या आपका बेसिक वर्कफ्लो है. सो वर्किंग डायरेक्टरी में आप प्रोजेक्ट बनाओ, काम करो, उसको स्टेजिंग में ऐड करो और फिर उसको आपके रेपो के अंदर कमिट कर दो. नाउ गिट क्लोन. लेकिन इसमें सबसे पहला स्टेप क्या होगा? गिट इनिट. तो गिट इनिट से आप आपकी वर्किंग डायरेक्टरी को इनिशियलाइज करेंगे. तो गिट इनिट कमांड विल जनरेट ऑल नेसेसरी फाइल्स which will attach the files from the working directory to git system, and then you can use all these commands later on. Now you can also create the global configuration using git config command. Now git clone, so getting a copy of repository to your machine. तो ये तो आपका क्या है? 3 areas है git के: working directory, staging and repository. Now, what if you want to get the we can say project developed by somebody else that is already available in your repo? So you can do you can pull that particular command, or sorry, you can get all those files locally inside your machine so that you can work on those particular files. So using cloning. So cloning a repository. So create a full copy of remote repository on your local machine. So cloning is a mechanism by which we create a full copy of the remote repository on your local machine. Now, so it will download all files in HD. So पूरे files और HD को download करेगा. Set up remote tracking. So remote tracking को set up करेगा. So create local working directory. So local working directory को भी create करेगा. So git space clone space the URL of a repository that you want to clone. So if your repository support HTTPS. Now, if your repository supports, we can say SSH. So you can clone it like this: git clone git @ your SSH URL. This is key setup जिसको हम बोलेंगे. Now clone into a specific folder. तो specific folder में अगर clone करना है तो same command है. आगे we can specify the folder name. And git clone shallow cloning करनी, only latest commit, faster for large repos. तो अगर आपको लेटेस्ट कमिट को ही क्लोन करना है तो पूरा प्रोजेक्ट क्लोन नहीं करना है, हिस्ट्री भी क्लोन नहीं करनी है. तो गिट क्लोन डैश डैश डेप्थ. सो यू कैन स्पेसिफाई द डेप्थ 1 2 3 4. तो कितने कमिट तक आपको क्लोन करना है. सो लेटेस्ट 1, लेटेस्ट 2, लेटेस्ट 3, एंड देन द यूआरएल ऑफ योर वी कैन से रेपो. तो आपके रेपो का यूआरएल वहां पर देंगे. तो व्हाट क्लोन गिव्स यू? सो क्लोन आपको क्या देगा? लोकल फोल्डर स्ट्रक्चर. सो क्लोन कमांड से पूरा लोकल फोल्डर स्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट हो जाएगा. सो इट विल गेट यू द एप्लीकेशन कोड. तो आपको मिलेगा ही साथ में. तो इट विल गेट यू द गिट फोल्डर, इट विल गेट यू द पॉइंटर एंड गिट इग्नोर. Now this command will create this particular folder structure. So this is your folder. यहाँ पर आप क्लोन कर रहे हैं. It will create a git folder .git folder that will have your, this is a hidden folder. So this hidden database, as a developer, you do not need to worry about this, which will have the configuration. So that will be your git configuration, global configuration, which contain the remote URL settings. So username, email ID, so that you'll have in config. Head will have the current branch. So the branch that you are, we can say, using. Now pointer will have the two things: objects and refs. So objects will be all commits in the files. So you can shift the pointer to any of the commit or file backward or forward using pointer. So ref will be branch in the tag pointer. So refs will help you to move the pointer, we can say, between the branches or tags. Now where object pointers will help you to move the pointer between the commits in the files of them. Now pointer will help you to go forward and backward in commits or branches, in files or tag, or we can say pointers. So SRC is the folder where we have actual source code of that particular repository with them. And it will have the readme.md file, which will contain some general information about your repository. And git ignore is a file which contains the list of folders or the files that you want to ignore while committing anything to the, we can say, repo or remote repo. Now here, so automatically configured, so remote is origin points to the Azure DevOps repo URL. So by default, your remote is remote your head that is point to origin, and it means it's we can say remote URL. So Azure DevOps URL is that. Now default branch checked out usually mean or master. तो बाय डिफॉल्ट जब आप चेकआउट करते हैं तो मेन या मास्टर ब्रांच चेकआउट होती है. Now tracking branches, local branches linked to remote, we can say counterparts of them. So branch tracking भी automatically configure हो जाएगा. So it will create local branches, those are connected with your remote counterpart foolishly. So every commit branch tag is available offline. So clones, ये सारी चीजें आपको मिल जाएगी. Now डेप्थ आप यूज कर सकते फॉर ह्यूज रिपोर्ट. अगर आपका रिपोर्ट बहुत बड़ा है तो will decide whether I want to clone last commit or previous 2 commits or 3 commits using depth parameter. It skips the history and clones only the latest snapshot of that. Now next thing that we have is files and states in the, we can say, staging in the Git. So सबसे पहले तो क्या है untracked file. So by default when you create any file, so it will be always untracked. So Git will not track it. So to track that file, we need to add that particular file to the Git using git add, so command. And once you add it to the Git, then Git will track those files. So if you change any file, if you do some addition into any file or deletion or updation in any file, so it will automatically go to the modify state and tracked files with the unsaved changes. So modified M means so tracked file with the unsaved changes there. So you had made the changes, but still the changes are not saved into your repository. Now this unsaved changes means these files are not saved to your repository there. It's not the file saved changes. So stage. So changes requested for next commit. So you can add this to the stage using changes queued for the next commit of that and committed. So these are the 4 steps with the file state, untracked, modified, staged, and committed. Now to get the status of the files, so git status command is there. It will show you the state of all the files. Now see what's changed. So git diff. So git diff will get you the we can say changes without staging. So without staging. So before staging, if you want to find out what is changed inside your, we can say, working folder or current folder, so we can have the git diff. Now see what stage are committed. So kya stage or committed hai. So we can have the git diff and only stage. So we'll find out only stage changes of that. Now git checkout dash dash file name.js. So discard the changes to a file. So ये आपको थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा. तो git checkout क्या करेगा, changes को discard कर देगा. तो changes discard करना है तो we can do the git checkout of that. Not is git ignore file. So git ignore is keeping files out. So every time when you commit something, so few files that we don't want to be sent with the commit. Now tell the git which files to be ignored. Now these files won't be tracked or committed of that, like build outputs. Now if you put these files in a tracking, every time when you build the application, it will show those files got changed. The state will become changed of that. Now ID settings like .vs folder, so .idea, .vs code, or secrets like environment, credentials, so prefix, so those also will be part of your git ignore. OS files, so if you have some DS store or some.db file. Now package caches, so node modules or packages of that. So you can put all these files in the git ignore. So git ignore is a special file which will list the files that you don't want to be tracked or committed by your, we can say, git with that. So which contain the build outputs, ID settings, secrets, OS files, package क्या assist होता है. Now staging in the practice. So staging क्या है? So you have edited 5 files, but only want to commit 2 of them. So जब आप git status करोगे तो you'll get a list of all the files that had changed. So if you say git status, so it will show you modified src auth.js, utils.js, config.js, and temp.js. These 4 files are modified. So out of that, 2 did not commit it. तो पहले 2 आपको commit करना, so you can do that using stage. So git add src, so auth.js and src.util.js. Now these 2 files will be get to your stage, we can say. So git diff dash dash stage करोगे तो you'll find the difference. So git commit dash m factor auth utility, then you can commit that stage. Now you can also revert the things back from stage to, we can say, track state of that. Now unstage a file. So how we can do that? Unstage a file. So git reset head, that is the pointer of your file, and src/config.js. तो config.js stage से वापस कहाँ चली जाएगी? Tracking के अंदर. Fine. So staging is a good practice. So where we can club only those files that you want to put it into actual commit. Now git commit, so saving snapshot of your work. So git commit will create a snapshot of your work. So what is commit? A commit is a snapshot of all stage, we can say. So we can say, so all stage changes stored permanently in the record. So whenever you fire the git commit, it will create one snapshot for the current commit of them. So commit is a snapshot of all state changes stored permanently in the record. So commit will have the, we can say, SHA hash, that the unique 40 character identifier. Now author who made the changes, name plus email, timestamp when the commit was created. Now message why the change was made. So parent, so pointer to the previous commit. Now tree snapshot of all the files at that moment. Okay. The common command, so git commit dash m, so we can specify the node, so it will commit it here. Now git commit dash am fixed typo in header, so commit all the modified files here. So commit stage changes, stage plus commit all the modified files. You can have the am, so am से आप सारी files को commit कर सकते हैं. So amend the last commit message. Last commit message को आपको change करना, amend करना. View commit history. So git log dash dash one line dash 10. So 10 records per page. One line अगर log देखना है. If it will not put one line, it will show the complete log. So git log, full log. Fine. So these are some, we can say, commands that we need in the git commit of that. Now git commit की तरह, so we have the, so और भी थिंग्स हैं, तो एक बार इसको कंप्लीट करता है. राइटिंग अ गुड कमिट मैसेज. सो गुड मैसेजेस जो है वो जरूरी है, क्योंकि उसको पढ़ के नेक्स्ट पर्सन को समझ में आना चाहिए कि आपने क्या कमिट किया था. तो गुड मैसेज में कैसा है? गिट कमिट डैश एम फिक्स ऑल रेफरेंस इन यूजर ऑथेंटिकेशन. बैड मैसेज क्या है? गिट कमिट डैश एम फिक्स्ड. Git commit dash m add retry logic for failed API calls. So git commit dash m updated stuff. So meaningful messages देने. So meaningful messages will help another developer to understand what you did in your commit of that. So what you had implemented inside your commit of that. So commit messages guidelines add future, not added feature. So 50 characters Now explain why, not what. So reference work item ID is fixed login bug. Now ये common problem है, ये मेरे साथ भी होती है जब मैं commit देता हूँ तो I will always put the what change, but what change is not recommended practice. Why changed? Fine. तो जरूरी है, तो यहाँ पर add retry logic for we can say failed API calls. तो reference work item ID ये ऐड करना जरूरी है, तो वर्क रेफरेंस वर्क आइटम आईडी वैसे भी ठीक है. सो अजूर रिपोज में जाओगे तो यू कैन लिंक डायरेक्टली टू वर्क टाइप और वर्क आइटम. नाउ सेपरेट सब्जेक्ट फ्रॉम बॉडी विद अ ब्लैंक लाइन. तो आप चाहे तो बॉडी और सब्जेक्ट को सेपरेट कर सकते हैं. जनरली एक ही लाइन का देते हैं कमिट, बट यू कैन पुट मल्टीपल लाइन विद द बॉडी एंड दी सब्जेक्ट लाइन होता है. तो विंग कमेंट हिस्ट्री कैसे व्यू करेंगे? गिट लॉग डैश डैश वन लाइन. Then we have this so detail log with the graph. तो detail log चाहिए तो dash dash online के साथ dash dash graph dash dash all. Now git show this, so git log dash dash author equal to this and dash dash one line. Git log dash dash one line and dash dash we can say sarc or dot json. So this is about the git commit. Now push and pull को हम कल के सेशन में देखेंगे. तो आई एम आउट ऑफ टाइम, तो आज इस पे ही छोड़ेंगे. सो कल हम पुश एंड पुल को देखेंगे, देन वी गो फॉर मेनी अदर थिंग्स. सो और भी चीज़ें हैं उसको देखेंगे. हैंडलिंग कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ब्रांचेस, so branch strategy, merging, so pull request configuration, daily workflow, and then we'll start implementing it using the Azure reports. तो Azure reports के साथ इसको कनेक्ट करके हम यूज करेंगे. तो इसमें कोई डाउट है, क्वेरी है तो पूछ लो फटाफट.